So today we're going to talk about finding proportions. We're going to find missing numbers, and this will help us for the rest of the unit. So everything's going to be in word problems, so we do have to read everything super carefully so we know what we're comparing and what we're finding. So suppose you pay $40 for 8 t-shirts at a store. Given the cost of the t-shirts is directly proportional to the number of t-shirts you buy, you can use a direct proportion to find the cost of 5 shirts. So to find the variable, essentially, what are we trying to find? So I'm just going to consistently use x because that's the most common variable you will use in algebra. So x. So what are we trying to find? So we need to find the cost of 5 shirts. So we are finding the cost. Okay. So we need to write a proportion. What are we comparing? So we are comparing 2 items. So you need to be knowledgeable to know that you are comparing 2 different things. So if we look here, we are comparing money and shirts. Okay? So then we could create proportions on that. So what information are we given? So we are given that it cost $40 for 8 shirts. Okay? And then we are also given the fact that we don't know how much 5 shirts cost. So if we don't know something, that's where x is going. Okay? And then from here, we can cross multiply to get our answer. So when we cross multiply, we multiply diagonally 40 times 5. And that gives us 200. And then we multiply diagonally the other way. So 8 times x just gives us 8x. And then our last step is to divide by that number with the variable. Think back to one-step equations. So 200 divided by 8, x gives us 40. Sorry, my bad, I knew that wasn't right. X gives us 25, that makes more sense. So what does that mean in relation to this problem? That 5 shirts cost $25. Okay, so you need to know what you're comparing. You need to set up 2 fractions, and then you need to cross multiply. Then you need to make sense of your answer. So let's take a look at B. At a factory, the number of cars produced is directly proportional to the number of factory workers that are making the cars. It takes 45 hours to make 60 cars. Use the proportion to find out how long it will take to make 250 cars. So define the variable. I'm going to use x. What am I trying to find? How long it will take, so the amount of hours. And then we need to figure out what else we are comparing. So we're going to write our proportion. So we are comparing hours to cars. Okay, then what information are we given? We know it takes 45 hours to make 60 cars. And then we are trying to figure out how long it takes to make 250 cars. So that is x. Cross multiply 45 times 250. That gives us 11,250. Then we got 60 times x. Gives us 60x. They're going to divide by 60. So 1,250 divided by 60 gives us 187.5. And what does that mean? It takes 187.5 hours to make 250 cars. Okay, you could pause the video so you get all that written down on your notes page. Then we have some practice problems we're also going to look at here. Okay, so same thing as the first page. Belle works at a convenience store. The amount of money she earns is directly proportional to the number of hours she works. She is paid $432 for 18 hours of work. Use a proportion to find out how much Belle is paid for 21 hours of work. So define the variable. Write your proportions. And then cross multiply to get your answer. So go ahead, pause the video, and get an answer for that. All right, so what are we trying to find? We're trying to find how much money Belle makes. Okay, so the two things we're comparing is money and then hours worked. So she's getting paid $432 for 18 hours of work. We don't know how much she is getting paid for 21 hours of work. Then we can cross multiply. 432 times 21, it's 9,072. 18 times x gives us 18x. Then we can divide 9,072 by 18 and we get 504. So what does that mean? It means Belle makes $504 for 21 hours of work. Okay, then going over example 2, 5 oranges cost $2. Find the cost of 24 oranges. So our x is cost of oranges. What are we comparing? The cost to the number of oranges. So the information we were given there is 5 oranges, costs $2. We don't know the cost of 24 oranges. So we go ahead and multiply. 2 times 24 gives us 48. 5 times x gives us 5x. Divide by 5, divide by 5. So we get 9.6, so what does that mean? 24 oranges costs $9.60. Okay, last one. So x, we are trying to find the cost. It costs $180 to rent a car for 3 days. Find the cost of renting the car for 1 week, which is 7 days. So we got money over days. So we got $180 for 3 days. We don't know how much it costs for 7 days. So go ahead, cross multiply. So we got 1,260 equals 3x, divide by 3. X equals $420, so it costs $420 to rent a car for 1